One of the most famous bands in the whole metal history, they were Pantera. When we have to speak about Pantera, first of all, we have to say that they saved especially metal of United States in the 90s. In these years, until the beginning of the 90s, we have in United States thrash metal, death metal, and glam metal, they were so famous. Unfortunately, afterwards, when grunge and alternative rock and metal started, the whole thing of metal became less and less famous. It was a very difficult period of metal inside United States, and because of bands as Pantera or as Machine Head, things were even a little bit more better for the metal scene inside the United States. In Europe, the story was different. There we had also we have also black metal and power metal. Okay, Euro power metal. But in the United States, Pantera, they were the saviors of metal together with Machine Head in these years. Pantera, we can say that Pantera, they started the style that we know it as groove metal. Some people will say that before them, Exhorder from the United States, or also they are the beginners of groove metal, but even more Pantera afterwards. Now, Pantera started in 1981 in Texas, and the members of the band, of course, they were the brothers Abbott, Vinnie Paul Abbott as the drummer, and Dimebag Darrell as the guitarist, one of the most famous guitarists of all the metal history. In these years, he had the name Diamond Darrell, and Rex Brown, he was even known as Rex Rocker, as their bassist. Also, in their three first albums of Pantera, the singer was Terry Glaze, and with the name Terence Lee. Only in the fourth album of them, Power Metal, came Phil Anselmo as their singer. But in the first four albums of them, they played a style that we can say that they were even more glam metal. A little bit in power metal, they played something even more close to thrash metal, something between glam and thrash metal with some influences of Judas Priest. But the big difference started when they made their fifth album of them by the name Cowboys from Hell in the beginning of the 90s. So they started the groove metal. We can say that maybe they will be a little bit influenced by Exhorder. Exhorder, they were even less famous because they made only two albums in these years. The most famous album was Slaughter in the Vatican, and for them it took so many years until they made their third album before 1 year by the name More the Southern Skies. In any case, they became famous for this groove metal from the 90s, from the 1990 until the beginning of the millennium. Their last album came out in 2000, yes, in the beginning of the millennium. And inside these five last albums, they became Pantera as we know them. So when we ranked their albums, some people, they ranked all the albums, the fourth in the beginning with the 9 albums all together. But there are some people that will say we have to rank about only their 5 last albums of them. Okay, so for this reason, I will speak a little bit about the first 4 albums and afterwards even more about their 5 albums. Unfortunately, Pantera, they continued until 2003, I will say that in 1996 they had many problems inside the band in the year when they made the Great Southern Trendkill. And for this reason, in 2001, they decided to go to a hiatus. But in 2003, the brothers Abbott decided to disband the band at all. And they made another band, the two brothers, together with the singer Pat Lanchman and the bassist Bob Zilla. They made Damage Plan. And they made in 2004 the album New Found Power. Okay? This was not exactly Pantera style, also groove metal, also some influences of southern rock and metal, also a good album, but unfortunately in 8th of December of 2004 in Ohio, in one of the live concerts of the band Damage Plan, Nathan Gale, a murderer, a maniac murderer, came and killed, unfortunately, Demon Bank Dorrell, rest in peace, together with another 3 people, until he was killed also by a policeman. And from there, let's say, we could expect that Pantera will become that maybe they will reunited. There were some opinions that maybe they will be reunited in the future. Vinnie Paul from the one hand, together with Rex Brown and Phil Anselmo, but we know that the big problems they were after the murder of Darrell Abbott. In the funeral of Darrell, the family of Abbott and the friends, they didn't want also to see Phil Anselmo. Darrell, he was buried with the famous guitar of Eddie Van Halen, also rest in peace, Bubble B, and also inside a casket with the Kiss logo in it. Afterwards, Vinnie Paul Abbott became the drummer and the leader of the band Hell Yeah. They played also another style of southern groove metal. And Phil Anselmo, he made many things, but together with Rex Brown, they were inside the band Dawn. They played the style of something between sludge, southern metal, and groove. Now, I have also to say that there was a period when Dave Mustaine of Megadeth, he wanted to take for his guitarist Darrell Abbott, and Darrell, he said to him, if you want that I will come to Megadeth, take also as a drummer my brother Vinnie Paul. But for this reason, Dave Mustaine, he said to him that he chose to take for drummer Nick Menza in these years, and he rejected Darrell Abbott and took Marty Friedman in his place. Now, the band in the beginning had another name. They were known by the name Gemini. Afterwards, they changed the name into Eternity, and afterwards to Pantera. So here I will try to rank all the 9 albums of them. Okay, in the 9th place for me comes their first album of 1983, Metal Magic. For me, this is the less good work of Pantera. Very glam metal, but not in a good way. Not in a good way, unfortunately. In the 8th place, their third album of them, of 1985, that is known by the name I Am the Night. Little bit even more heavier from Metal Magic or from Projects in the Jungle, but I prefer in the 7th place Their second album of them, Projects in the Jungle of 1984. For these three albums, Metal Magic, I Am the Night and Projects in the Jungle, the singer was Terry Glaze, and he was known by the name Terence Lee. So, in the sixth place, their fourth album, Power Metal, of 1988. In these years, also this was the first album when Phil Anselmo was their singer, with long hair. Okay. Now, in the fifth place, and for some people in the first place, their seventh album. So for some people also it has to be their third album. If we start to counter their albums from Cowboys, From Hell and Afterwards, Far Beyond Driven of 1994. For many people, this is a great album. Great album with great songs. Strength Beyond Strength, 5 Minutes Alone, I'm Broken, Slaughtered. And also here they made a cover of Black Sabbath, Planet Caravan. Also the artwork of the album was another in the beginning, and they had problems with that and changed the cover. In any case, for me, I put this in this place only because of the albums that will come afterwards. So, in the fourth place, their last album, their ninth album, for some people their fifth album, Reinventing the Steam of 2000. In the beginning of the millennium, they made their last album. We didn't know in these years that this will be their last album, unfortunately. Here became a little bit even more close to classical forms of heavy metal. And for this reason, I like this album, a lot this album. Now, in the third place, or their fifth album, or their first album, say that how you want, of 1990, and speak about Cowboys from Hell. This is the album of the new beginning, of the new era, of the big change of PANTERA. And from this album also we can say that we have the beginning of the groove metal as we know it. Here also they have the ballad, let's say the so-called ballad Cemetery Gates. Great album. Now, in the second place, their eighth album, or the fourth album, okay, one of the albums that I am so connected with it, of 1996, and then speak about the Great Southern Trendkill. Great album in my opinion. Yes, inside the album, inside the band in these years, it was a totally catastrophe, okay, and the connection between the members of the band. But here we have a masterpiece also with great songs. The song that I love it a lot, very much is Drag the Waters, but not only that. And of course, in the first place, their sixth album, or their second album of them, of 1992, and then speak about Vulgar Display of Power. I started to listen to PANTERA from this album, and afterwards, of course, I met them with this album. Here, every song is great. Mouth for War, A New Level, Walk, Fucking Hostile, This Love, Rise, No Good Attack, The Radical, for example, By Demons Be Driven. Every song here is great. This is about PANTERA, and let's say that they were one of the most influenced bands of the 90s and in the whole metal history. So, from Israel and from Jerusalem, stay metal and stay heavy.